To order the Parks meeting of April 1st. Please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call for any additions, changes, or deletions from the agenda. Anything, Marty?
I didn't have anything there.
All right. Motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting.
I'll motion.
Second.
Motion by Carrie and seconded by John. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. On to the open forum, or no, consent agenda, sorry. Entertain a motion to approve the, we already did that. Now we're on to open forum.
There's nobody on.
Nobody online to speak?
No.
Anybody in the crowd?
Anybody have anything to say for open forum?
Does this include later after speakers talk, or? You got some speakers coming talking today.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is that related to those?
Is it related to those items?
To speak beforehand,
Are you expecting to speak related to their item, the items they're speaking to?
yes,
Yes, then I think it would
Then we'll wait.
probably be later, yeah.
thank you.
All right. Council update.
I don't really have much. As you guys know, the 8th, next Tuesday, we will be talking about the park bids at the council level. So that's really about all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Scott. Staff update, Marty.
I think all my updates are on the agenda tonight, so.
Moving right along.
Perfect.
All right, on to regular meeting item B, Elm Creek Watershed presentation.
Put you here. I think we've got a good slideshow up here. Do you want to run the slideshow from there, or do you want
Yeah, we're-
Elizabeth to run it?
Shoot, I should have worn my glasses.
Just this one?
That's not going to help me see over there.
Yep. Pull up this one. Yep.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Diane Spector. I'm actually with Stantec. We're not only engineers for the city of Dayton, we're also engineers for the Elm Creek Watershed Commission. So we're here tonight to begin. You're actually the first presentation out to all the individual cities within the watershed on our draft fourth generation watershed management plan. So I hope to enlighten you as to what that means and start the public input and comment process on that. So first of all, I hope you're familiar with the Elm Creek Watershed, and that is a joint powers organization of 7 cities in this kind of northwest Hennepin County area. Watersheds are organized because water doesn't stop and runoff doesn't stop at a city boundary. It follows other contours, and therefore it's managed in a drainage area rather than a city. The Elm Creek Watershed Commission, the role is basically to set standards and policies, whereas the city's role is to implement projects and improvements. So it's kind of the planning entity that provides kind of an overall joint set of standards that everybody's working towards common goals, and then hands it off to the cities and let the cities do their things to implement it. There is a citizen board of commissioners. Doug Baines is your commissioner from the city of Dayton. And the city staff do sit on a technical advisory committee, and so that they're very much involved hands-on in the activities of the watershed. Fourth generation plan, state statute says that watersheds must update their management plans every 10 years. This is going to be Elm Creek's fourth plan, hence the fourth generation plan. It is kind of separate from, but it's related to the comprehensive plan process. So in the next few years, all the cities will embark on updating their comprehensive plans. So the watershed plan are separate entities, but it does drive the city's individual stormwater management plan or local plan, and that becomes then a part of the city's comprehensive plan. So we're just kind of embarking on starting that planning process for the next go-around for 2050. So just a couple of things that the commission does is it reviews plans for new development and redevelopments. It does have certain standards so that when that happens, that development happens, it minimizes the impacts to downstream receiving water. So new development and redevelopment cannot increase the amount of pollutants running off of parcels or the rate of stormwater runoff, and they have to limit the amount of volume of stormwater runoff that runs off. So the post-development impact is similar to or better than the pre-development impact. So over the last 10 years, the Commission's undertaken 439 project reviews, so that's between 40 and 50 per year. So that's a sign that there's a lot of development going on that is being managed. It does have a monitoring program. There are 4 what we call sentinel lakes. Weaver, Fish, Diamond, and Rice Lakes are the sentinel lakes that get monitored every year. And then the other lakes where we can get access to them are monitored about every 3 to 4 years. We do have 3 stream sites where we're tracking the flow and water quality, so we can kind of keep a handle on what's happening within those waters and how development might be impacting the water quality within those. We've got a decent sized education and outreach program. Probably the biggest part of it is working together with 3 other watershed organizations in this area, Shingle Creek, West Mississippi, and Bassett Creek, on education and outreach. And we employ a part-time educator that goes out into the schools. And we've done lessons for 22,000 fourth graders across the 4 watersheds in the last 10 years, so it's been pretty exciting. We do partner with Hennepin County on outreach to agricultural operators and are working on getting some BMPs implemented, and that has the advantage of leveraging money that Hennepin County can bring to the table as well. So between the 2 of us, we've been able to complete some significant agricultural projects that are helping to control the pollutant loading coming from agricultural properties. And then also, one of the things that we do is go out and get money, so apply for grants and provide cost share through the county levy for projects. A recent project in the city of Dayton was joint between Dayton, Three Rivers Park District, and Hennepin County. Those were some big ravine stabilization projects along the Dayton River Road with that recent project. So this watershed management plan, what is it, what's in it, why should you care? In case you need some bedtime reading, there's an appendix which is called the Land and Water Resources Inventory. It tells you everything you might want to know about soils and geology and climate and all of that kind of things, but it kind of provides a background of what the watershed is and how that influences water resources within the watershed. General information about how water and natural resources are managed and who does what. It's not surprising that there are about 5 million agencies that have their fingers in water management, so it's kind of hard to keep track of who does what, whether it's the DNR, the PCA, the Health Department, the Met Council, the Board of Water and Soil Resources, and other random agencies. I was asked once when I was talking to a high school class that, so who owns the water? And I said, I really can't tell you that. There's just too many fingers in the pot. More important as part of the watershed management plan is that part of this is our opportunity to kind of take a step back and assess the existing and potential water resources problems. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then develop some goals and strategies for managing the water resources and addressing those problems, and then developing an implementation plan for actions to, whether it's the Watershed Commission undertaking actions or things that the cities plan on doing, who's going to do what to work towards those 10-year goals. So, moving on to the identified problems in the Elm Creek watershed. We had the Technical Advisory Committee, the city people, and the commissioners took the first crack at identifying what they thought were the top problems within the Elm Creek watershed. And that has to do with that there are several lakes and streams that don't meet state water quality standards, and those are called impaired waters, capital I, capital W. And you can see in the boxes on the right there that there are 6 lakes that currently are impaired. There used to be 7. Fish Lake was actually able to be removed from the impaired waters list due to improved water quality based on action, so that was a great thing to be able to accomplish. There are impaired streams. Basically, all the major streams within the watershed have some impairments, usually sediment, nutrient, bacteria, and those are also then impacting the biotic communities, so fish and aquatic insects. The Crow River and the Mississippi River, which are not directly in the watershed, but receive runoff from the watershed, are also impaired waters. So basically, everywhere you look, there's impaired waters. You know, so we don't need to monitor, we just know we need to fix them. This past go-around, we had some new impairments show up on the last water quality assessment that the MPCA did, and that is chloride in Elm Creek and in the South Fork of Rush Creek, and I'll talk about that in the middle because that's going to be the subject of a special study that we'll be undertaking in the next 10 years. Chloride's kind of the new thing that you'll hear a lot about. You probably have already heard a lot about chloride management, but there'll be an even greater emphasis on that in the future. Erosion and sedimentation in the watershed, and then the role of agricultural properties within their contribution of pollutants to those lakes and streams as well. And as part of that, one of the problems which are identified is that government units, cities, the county, the MnDOT, others that do stuff within the watershed all have requirements on them to include water treatment of their stormwater runoff when they do projects. Nobody else really does. So a lot of the work which is done is voluntary. So we need to, how do we persuade people to undertake some of those improvements to help improve the water bodies? So we need to increase that voluntary adoption. And part of that is expanding education and outreach so people understand what they can do and why it's important and how that can be undertaken. Kind of lastly, the two are kind of interrelated, and again, I'll talk about it a little bit more in a subsequent slide because it's going to be an important issue for the next 10 years and beyond. There's a lot of development. Over 439 project reviews in the last 10 years. There's probably going to be at least 439 project reviews in the coming 10 years. So all of that development that's occurring upstream is adding that impervious surface that is not able to infiltrate water. It's all running off and it's being sent downstream. So development that's occurring in Corcoran is going into Rush Creek or the South Fork of Rush Creek, headed downstream, and it's headed for the Champlain Mill Pond. Or it's kind of the same thing with development that's occurring in Medina and parts of Plymouth is headed right towards Rice Lake. So how do we deal with the fact that land is transitioning and it's creating more runoff? At the same time, we do know that we do have data showing that there has been an increase in intensity and depth of precipitation, and we expect that to continue. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we know we need to think about it and evaluate what the impacts of that might be. So we've got a potential project coming in the next 10 years that I've got a slide to talk to you about it because I think it's another one of those that's going to be really important. Before I leave that, kind of one of the purposes of coming out to you today and in the future is really to get your input. So is there anything on here that you're aware of, and bear in mind that this doesn't include drinking water issues. Drinking water is beyond the purview of the Watershed organization. Anything that jumps out at you that's not on this list? Just kind of the general water quality within the lakes and streams within the watershed, the condition of the streams, the fact that we've got development happening, we need people to do more things. We've got this new issue of chloride. We've got a lot of development happening. Anything jumping out at you?
It feels pretty comprehensive to me.
Okay. Well, again, just keep it in the back of your mind, and if something occurs to you, we've got an opportunity to add that to the list. So the commissioners and the technical advisory committee have identified 4 primary goals for the next 10 years. Kind of the first 2 are kind of related. One is protecting those water resources. So all those impacts coming from development, trying to repair the damage that has been done to date, reducing the amount of stormwater, just limiting that flood risk and protecting the systems so that we can reduce or just help to minimize the impacts that are happening. But we want to put an increased emphasis on education and outreach so that everybody's aware of what's going on and what they can do. And number 4 is, I'm going to read this, anticipate and proactively work to withstand adverse impacts from changing land use cover and environmental and climate conditions. Think about where we're going to be in 2050 and beyond. Project what that's going to be. Make sure that we understand what that's going to be so that as we're developing, as we're undertaking infrastructure projects, that we know that we have that in the back of our minds as being design conditions to take into account. When we build things, when we build infrastructure, we're not building for 10 years. We're building for 50 years or beyond. So we need to be able to understand what those risks are going to be in those coming years. So the 4th generation plan outlines some specific implementation strategies. So first and foremost is projects. The city, like I said at the beginning, the commission identifies problems, the cities and some potential solutions, the cities undertake projects. Cities have submitted what they expect to have happen in the next 5 to 10 years, and there's a couple of different stream restoration projects. We're working on managing carp and fish and rice lakes. We'll talk about at the very end here about some upcoming work on Diamond Lake. One of the things that the commission has started doing is helping out cities to purchase upgraded street sweepers. Enhanced street sweeping it can be an effective BMP if you can't do anything else. But the key is that they have to be, it has to be frequent and it has to be thorough. So it's not sending the broom sweeper down in the spring to pick up the winter detritus. It's got to be more frequently than that. But those cities are committing to undertake enhanced street sweeping as part of their efforts to minimize the pollutant loading to those lakes and streams. And then something we just call generic projects, which is we're putting on our CIP. We know we're going to do some stream projects. We know we're going to do some lake projects. We don't know what they are right now, but we're just going to put on the CIP generic projects saying we commit to doing those projects. We don't know what they're going to be right now, but we'll find something. The commission does also have a couple of cost share programs to help with those voluntary BMPs, and these are for kind of smaller projects. So for private property, up to 100% of funding for improvements in private property. So say you've got a developer coming in and they've got an opportunity to include something, they don't have to include a BMP on their site, but they agree to do so. We can provide up to 100% of that funding, up to $100,000. For small city-led projects, the commission will provide up to 50% of that funding. So say you've got a park, and you've got an improvement project going on, and you've got a spot there where you can incorporate some stormwater management on a voluntary basis, the commission can kick in some money. So that's a way to kind of help encourage that voluntary adoption of practices. And I can see somebody's got a little glint in his eye, but I've got some projects for you. Education and outreach. Continue and expand partnerships. Continue working with Hennepin County to go out there assisting the producers and the animal operators with what they're doing on their sites. There's a group of 4 WMOs in the northwest Hennepin County called the West Metro Water Alliance. That's that program that provides education and outreach to students and parents and the public. We currently have a half-time outreach coordinator where our goal is within 10 years to make that a full-time position. So that becomes available. They're available if you've got, I think we've got something coming up in Dayton where she's going to be tabling. Yep.
At the open house, yeah.
Yep, okay. And then we've been kind of off and on doing outreach to lake associations and HOAs and other groups like that, but really enhancing that and bringing those folks into the fold as far as helping them help us manage the water resources within the watershed. Elm Creek Watershed, Shingle Creek Watershed, and West Mississippi Watershed all submitted a joint application for grant funding last fall for a joint chloride management plan. Received just under $50,000 for that. We will be developing that joint chloride management plan to help us better understand chloride sources. I mean, we kind of have a good idea where it's coming from when it's, cities and other road authorities track what they're putting on the roads, but there are all kinds of other sources of chloride within the watershed. Private applicators, we really don't have a good idea of what the private applicators are putting down. One source that we really haven't, we know it's a source, no one's ever tried to quantify it, is chloride, which is in fertilizers that's applied to row crops. So it's really about half of that chloride management plan is really drilling down to determine where the majority of those sources are coming from that aren't already being addressed with some type of practices. So that we can strategically target management actions. If we've got an area that's right next to a stream, say it's right next to Elm Creek, it's a big parking lot, and they've got an applicator that goes out there with a truck and applies a whole truck full of salt, whether or not it needs a truck full of salt put to the parking lot, that tells us that that's a priority for us to do some management action on. Developing partnerships, and again, and then delivering common messages across those watersheds. We want people to think about chloride. We want that same message applies whether you're in Dayton, or whether you're in Plymouth, or whether you're in Minneapolis. So, and then finally, the Climate Resilience and Sustainability Project. This is a 4-phase project that we'll be undertaking probably through the life of the 10-year life of this plan, starting out with what we call the framework, which is basically just gathering information and guidance and preparing for phase 2. We're waiting on getting some precipitation guidance from NOAA. Some of you may have heard of something called Atlas 14. Okay. Atlas 15 is expected out within the next 2 years, so we're waiting on Atlas 15 to come out. Atlas 14 is precipitation information that's looking backwards at what happened in the past. Atlas 15 is looking forwards, projecting what's going to happen in the future. So we've got that happening. Cities will be undertaking their comprehensive plans and thinking about their 2050 land use. So we've got that happening. So when that information is available, which would be in about 2028, this phase 2 of this climate resiliency and sustainability strategy is using our hydrologic and hydraulic models to model some scenarios. What happens if precipitation does this? What happens if land cover does this? What does that do to the extent and duration of flooding areas? Is there any infrastructure that's going to be put at risk in 2050? You know, if you've got a roadway that you're planning to replace in 20 years and you're going to have to replace a bridge, are you going to need to upsize that bridge in order to safely convey the flows that we expect to have in 50 years? Those kinds of things. The second part of that then is the strategy identification, and that is looking at, okay, now that we've modeled what we think that precipitation and potential flooding might be, what can we do to prevent the future flooding? Can we revise how we're thinking about land use might be changing? Can we revise our rules and standards regarding how developers have to deal with what's on their sites when they're developing? Are there projects that we can be undertaking? Can we just add, big storage ponds in the watershed to hold back more water before it gets to, downstream? The map which is up there on the slide is a soils map. The areas that are shown in kind of that coral along the Crow River and along the Mississippi, and kind of the light green, are the types of soils that are best at infiltrating runoff. The colors which are in that kind of tan or dark tan are among the soils that are the worst at infiltrating runoff. So you can see we got a problem here. But there are areas where there is the possibility for infiltrating. Can we provide regional infiltration to offset some of those new volumes which are being created by development? So those are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking at in that adaptation strategy and identification. And then implementing projects, whatever we find, whether it's, like I said, storage projects, enhanced infiltration, flood proofing, and potentially revising the development rules and standards, and really just communicating, just making sure that everybody understands and aware of what the risks are and what the anticipated potential might be in the future. So that's going to be a big thing that the watershed will be working on, and probably if you get involved in, and you likely will be involved in the comprehensive planning process for the City of Dayton's comp plan. That's something that we'll be providing more information to you as you're thinking about what that means for the park plan, part of the comp plan, or as part of the land use part of the comp plan. Lastly, you might be wondering, yes, how can I learn more about the watershed plan? And I direct you to, there's a link in your packet to the Elm Creek Watershed website where we have the current drafts of the fourth generation plan and then the various appendices, except for we're still revising the rules and standards. And there's a comment box there as well. So if you've got comments or questions that you want to get more information on, feel free to leave a comment or question. We're also going to be circulating, we just haven't finished it yet, a survey of the public, just to better understand what people's priorities are, and help us as we're going through to tell us that we're on the right track for as far as what the projects are that we're proposing and the problems that we've identified. So, really, at that land and water inventory, it's gold. Finally, I just wanted to highlight a couple things that are going on within the city of Dayton right now. The commission has last year received a significant amount of grant funding from the Board of Water and Soil Resources to do with as we please. And about half of it, about $175,000, we dedicated to our work with Hennepin County and outreach to agricultural operators. A big chunk of it, over $100,000, was dedicated to these three projects in the city of Dayton. We call them Diamond Lake Neighborhood Projects. There's a small pond draining a development area to the west, right off of French Lake Road, just kind of on the southwest corner of French Lake. That we're looking at options there to expand that to provide more treatment before it discharges into French Lake. There's a neighborhood on the north side of Diamond Lake where we've got a storm sewer system that discharges directly into the lake, so can we add some treatment within some manholes there. And then Grass Lake, which is basically just a glorified wetland, which is just to the west of Diamond Lake. We know based on monitoring data that it's shooting out nutrients, is a significant source of nutrients to Diamond Lake. And what can we do, what kind of options do we have there to reduce that before it goes into Diamond Lake? So that work's going on right now. In the CIP for a feasibility study next year and then treatment in 2027, 2028 is a Diamond Lake alum treatment. And alum is a chemical, if you're not aware of it, is a chemical that you can apply to a lake, and it strips phosphorus out of the water column and it falls to the bottom, and it forms a kind of a flock on the lake bottom and prevents the release of phosphorus from the sediments. So we hope that will make a noticeable improvement in the water quality in Diamond Lake. As a matter of fact, that's what we did in Fish Lake, and that's how Fish Lake got to the improved water quality that it has.
Will that work okay with the treatment that they've been doing in there with the curly pond leaf?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to...
It doesn't interfere.
Okay.
What we've got built into that, the CIP project is when you have a lake that's got invasive vegetation in it, sometimes that improved water quality makes it go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So we built into that project a kind of a savings account for paying for future treatment of that invasive vegetation like curly leaf.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't fall to the Lake Association to do it. It's kind of like we broke it, we'll fix it.
Good.
That's what I've got. So like I said, whoops. I hope that you all have the opportunity to go and take a look at your leisure at the fourth generation plan update documents. Or even if you've just got some questions or comments just based on this presentation, please feel free to submit them on that form or pass them along, and Marty will make sure that they get to us. And any other questions or comments that I can answer for you right now?
You mentioned thinking to the future as we develop. Do you have any examples of like communities or cities that have done a really good job with that sort of thing just overall?
I don't have anything that's local. This is a fairly new
Sure.
approach, and one of the things that we struggled with is trying to keep it really small, because resiliency can mean something like really big. All of a sudden you're talking about greenhouse gases and vegetation and things like that. It's like we're just going to confine ourselves just to stormwater runoff.
Sure.
So, but there are some things which are similar to it, where you look at a subwatershed and say, okay, we've got existing flooding impacts now. What can we do within the watershed and figure out how to deal with that? What's missing from that approach is that those projections of what's this going to look like in 2050 or later. So.
I'm a Minnesota Master Naturalist, and I'm going to their conference in May, and actually I think there is a presentation happening there that I'm attending that is going to give an example of one of the cities that has done a really good job with like adopt storm drain and all of that kind of
I
stuff.
think
So
Rochester is one of them that's
right,
done that,
yeah.
right, yeah.
So I'll be attending that, and hopefully
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
learn more that I can share with y'all.
I'm expecting a report
Unfortunately,
back.
the state of Minnesota had, I think, about 3 years' worth of funds available to help spur this type of modeling, so that we could have those results available to do these types of resiliency planning. And we applied a couple of times and didn't get it, and now it's run out, so. And given the budget conditions, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be renewed, so.
Anything else? All right,
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
www.elmcreekwatershed.org.
Thank you.
That didn't go too bad for your first time out.
I'm sorry?
Didn't go too bad for the first time out.
No, and especially on April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
Right, we're
I've got
pretty
6 more of
easy
these
on
to
you.
do over the next month, so.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Three Rivers Park, West Mississippi River Trail. Hello.
Do you have, which one was yours?
2025, yep.
Great. Just click that.
The forward button?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everybody. Park Commissioners. Thank you for having Three Rivers tonight. My name is Ann Rexine. I serve as their principal planner. I also have with me Jonathan Vlaming, who is the Associate Superintendent, with us tonight, and available for questions after the presentation, should you have any. There's been a lot of updates, recent updates to the proposed West Mississippi River Regional Trail in the city of Dayton. And we wanted to take an opportunity to share information with you and offer a space to ask questions and for us to share a little bit about our process. So this is a snapshot of Three Rivers' presence within the city of Dayton. That map right there shows, which you know, of course, Elm Creek. And then the intricate spaghetti network of proposed and existing regional trails within the city of Dayton. So Three Rivers currently has 18 miles of both proposed and existing regional trails within the city of Dayton. So the existing regional trails are shown in the solid line, and the proposed are shown in the dashed line. So if you're unfamiliar of how a regional trail differentiates itself from a trail, a local trail, we've included a photo of what that might look like on the top left. So the regional designation is given to Three Rivers trails that connect park destinations and provide a regionally significant non-motorized recreation and transportation corridor. They typically are 10 feet wide. They're typically striped down the middle for two-directional flow, and our uses are all non-motorized uses, so they include walking, running, biking, and rolling. And the West Mississippi River Regional Trail generally follows Dayton River Road along the Mississippi River, as you can see on the map right there. And the other three regional trails connect and link Dayton to recreational assets like the Elm Creek Regional, or Elm Creek Park Reserve. So this regional trail, the West Mississippi Regional Trail, it builds upon no less than 8 other local, state, and federal plans to provide that recreational corridor adjacent to the Mississippi River, including the city of Dayton's current comp plan. So I'm not going to read them all, but you can see them listed over there. So most notable from all those plans is the federally designated Mississippi River Trail, or MRT as it's called, which generally follows the Mississippi River. And you can see that picture of the United States, all the way from the confluence up in Itasca to the Gulf of Mexico. So what you have in the city of Dayton is nationally significant and holds a place within a broader context. So the piece within Dayton had a long-range plan that was completed and adopted in 2018. And it outlined the framework to complete the trail using an underlying route designation principle that we wanted to get as close to the river as possible throughout this whole corridor. So Hennepin County's corridor includes the city of Dayton, the city of Champlin, Brooklyn Park, and Brooklyn Center before it enters the Minneapolis system. So the significant piece of this is already completed through Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park, and then there's the missing gap in Champlin and Dayton. Specific to Dayton, you can see by this map, is a dotted line between Gooden Park and North Diamond Lake Road. And the plan recommended, as opportunities arise and through a willing seller approach, that acquisition along this corridor should be considered where construction complications could be alleviated to create a wider and more scenic regional trail corridor. So over the last 8 years since 2018, since the plan was adopted, Three Rivers has been actively working to improve this trail corridor for future design and construction. We are not at the design and construction phase at all. We're still in the planning framework stage. Notably, we've worked on an underpass from the River Hills neighborhood to Elsie Stevens, which was coordinated between Three Rivers, the city, the developer, and Hennepin County as a part of the West Mississippi River Regional Trail and the Elm Creek Trail connector down to the Park Reserve. Also, in the last 8 years, several properties have been acquired on that willing seller approach, and we are working with this county, Hennepin County, to secure the trail corridor as part of their road reconstruction project that I have a separate slide that we can go over in a little bit. So all that's to say there are a lot of moving parts before we can even begin to design and construct the trail. So of recent interest, and the reason why we're here tonight is because there is a stretch of proposed trail, again, between Gooden Park and North Diamond Lake Road, which is about 3.5 miles. A total of 330 acres of land is between those two anchor points. And then you'll note in the diagram here, 252 acres are already in public ownership, whether it be the state, the county, the city, or Three Rivers. Three Rivers, in early planning, has identified 20 parcels where construction is probably going to be a little tricky adjacent to the road just due to the road geometry and how it's adjacent to it and the available shoulder. So we may need some construction, special construction and or easements are anticipated to be to construct the trail along the road. So this slide shows some of the several acquisitions as an example of the ongoing work that we're doing in the city of Dayton. Three Rivers received phone calls. Again, these are willing sellers. We did not seek them out at all. By word of mouth from several properties in this stretch indicating their interest in selling their property to Three Rivers. These properties are indicated on the map by A, B, and C. So property A, which includes 7 acres of land adjacent or near Gooden Park, closed this morning. And property C, which is further down, is anticipated to close April 15th. And B is pending further Three Rivers engagement with the cities and the residents of Dayton. So I mentioned the Hennepin County corridor study that's currently going on. They are planning to reconstruct Dayton River Road in the coming years, and you can see this is their diagram of the program years in which they are phasing that project. So you can see in the blue, that's 2028, and then it goes all the way up through the section where I was speaking of in green. That's their phase 4. and they don't have a program year on that section quite yet. But we are working in conjunction with the county and the city to ensure that the regional trail is constructed with the road reconstruction project. They are planning their own open house on April 15th. We are tabling at that open house. It's going to be located in the city of Champlin. I have some material that I'm going to leave with Marty tonight that he can pass along with you. We're cross-promoting each other's projects, and so we will be tabling and having discussion about the West Mississippi River Regional Trail at that meeting as well, should you be interested in attending. So in addition, we have a long-standing relationship with the city staff, and we have been working we've been really dedicated to their water trail project. And this is a project that I just wanted to highlight because it's an active project that Three Rivers is coordinating with the city on. This is Gooden Park, and you can't really see it because the lines are a little faded right here, but Three Rivers Park District owns property adjacent to Gooden Park. And so in a joint partnership between Three Rivers and the city, we would like to propose access to the river, including a staged construction approach, first beginning with a gravel parking lot, a paved trail to the river, and a non-motorized boat access and staging area. We have submitted an Elsie CMR grant to complete this work in conjunction with the city's dedicated funds, and you can see the amounts that are located on this slide. And we expect that construction most likely to be in 2026 if our funding is secured on our end. So we're really looking forward to what this can bring to the community. So I mentioned a little bit about our process for re-engaging the city after our master plan was completed in 2018. And this slide is dedicated to how we propose to do that. So it goes from April 1st, which is today, through June 24th. And you can see here we'd like to re-engage the city council next week. That's April 8th. April 15th is that Hennepin County, Dayton River Road corridor study open house that's located at Mississippi Crossings. And then we would really like to engage the property owners adjacent to the corridor. So we will be opening and sending letters to have an open dialogue from April 15th to May 20th, just so we can sit down and have a conversation so that it's totally open and transparent about what our process is and what that might mean for property owners. And then April 15th to June 15th, we'd like to do some online engagement. And then we're hosting our own open house at Eastman Nature Center on May 14th. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You have your own open house at the Public Works Building that we will also be tabling at. Following up by May 21st, we are having our own open house at Eastman Nature Center to talk about this project, followed up by what we hope to be a joint Council and Parks Commission work session on the 24th of June. So I just wanted to share those with you. You are more than welcome to attend any and all of those events or contact me for more information regarding the details and times. And that is my last slide. So with that, I'd like to invite any questions that you may have for either Jonathan or myself. And thank you for the opportunity to present our trail plans with you tonight. I also have a copy of the long-range plan that I printed today that I will also leave here with you today, just in case you don't have a copy.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yep.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Was this a subject you guys wanted to?
It was.
Can I have you come up here and fill out the form and state your name and address, please?
I didn't really come up with any real decent questions. I just wanted to know what their plan was I've read it on their website, and it seemed pretty straightforward. And I watched the last city council meeting, and the council looked a little, they didn't read the plan because two of the members were, well, I don't really know what their plan is. So I think this is pretty well self-explanatory. But
Okay.
the plan is I don't have no issues or complaints about it at all. It seems straightforward. I just know somebody that has a piece of property that's ready to sell on the river. Is why.
Sure.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any
Thanks.
Yep,
questions?
thank you.
All right. Marty, water trails design, 90% plan set.
Yeah. So this is pretty much the last opportunity to take a look at the plans where we're at. I have Christian from MSA who's going to do the presentation. We have those on the...
You do have those?
Yeah,
The
we can,
electronic copies? Yeah.
we can put those up if you want.
This?
So that's the plans.
That's the plans, there should be the renderings as well.
Oh, at the end of it or something?
Oh, is it on there, Marty?
It's not on that, no, it's on a separate thing, I think. No, it shouldn't be in there. Maybe it didn't get in there, maybe I'm wrong.
That's okay.
We got boards anyway.
Yeah, Marty's got the electronic version. I don't know, where do you want me to maybe prop these up somewhere?
Yeah, maybe at the front there.
I'm not taking them home.
They'll look great in Marty's office.
Is it, yeah, these? Maybe it is these. Well,
Yeah, that is that.
this is it, from on here, sorry.
That's okay.
Have Marty stand and hold the last one.
Right?
I'll prop these up. Dan away for something.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you got it up here, we're good.
We're just kidding.
Sorry.
You can leave it there.
Within the packet is the 90% draft
Yeah.
plans. Hope is tonight, just to give a broad overview, but also if you have any detailed questions, either tonight or over the next week, including after the council meeting, let Marty know, you reach out directly to myself. And the intention is that, barring any major changes, we'll be advertising next week and the following week, posting things to Quest and getting things moving, as we're hopping into construction season here. But so general overview of things, I'm sure all of you are aware. Maybe there's been some minor changes. There will be 88 parking improvements. We have added in a shelter, possibly since this project originated right through here, and it's a prefabricated metal shelter. We will have a block seating area, as well as a permanent kayak storage rack for 8 kayaks with a flat landing here. There will be some retaining walls necessary just due to the grade, and some black ornamental railing along the downhill side of things, and then an ADA accessible concrete path down to the launch steps. There's about 13 launch steps. We also have looked at low water level, high water level, so as water changes, right, barring a 100-year event, that'll be up here somewhere. The launch will be accessible to all. I don't know, did you happen to share the cost estimate? as well?
That's on
It is
here as
also
well,
in
if you want to go through the renderings first, then the cost estimates at the end. Great.
Do that. Yeah, these renderings, on the screen there, top left is just giving a view of the seating area, looking down towards the river. Top right, again, the multi-use path. You can kind of see the block wall. We have several vendors in mind. We don't have a specific block wall vendor in mind. That is the aesthetic that we're going for there. It will be a big block, will be a natural limestone look to it. Ultimately, all colors that you see on the visuals here, also within our specifications, those are all be color palettes that'll be submitted by the bidders afterwards for folks to decide on, right? I mean, we'll have specifications regarding material quality and surfaces and whatnot, but all that will be submittals, including the prefabricated shelter colors. So don't
big
be
is the
alarmed if you see, if you hate the color that's shown on the shelter right now, right?
How big is the shelter?
It is 16 by 24, sitting on a 22 by,
Fairly sized.
sitting on a
shelter.
pad, yeah. It's fairly big. It's got space for 4 pretty large ADA accessible picnic tables with space around them, so pretty substantial shelter. That would include lighting as well, LED lighting within the shelter. Should the city choose to award it like that, and get into that with the cost estimate as well.
Okay.
I just say here, with the cost estimate, there are a few alternates in there that we've identified,
Correct.
just to get the base bid in and see what we're going to do, from now on in.
Yeah,
Okay,
give
great.
some flexibility on things. Actually, was there another?
Yeah, it should be
I
another
didn't
one.
look at the.
It should have been that one.
That's okay. This one just shows some viewed-in looks here at the shelter, from within the shelter, looking up at the shelter, and the digital versions you can zoom in a lot better at the permanent kayak rack as well through here. So,
Okay.
does anyone have any questions regarding the overall site layout or elements on things before we hop into kind of anticipated bid format and stuff?
I don't. If anybody else does. Okay. Jump into it.
And I wanted to get renderings for this because I know that not everybody understands the technical drawings there, so I
Right.
think we wanted to get something.
No, they're
so-
beautiful.
This is
Very
great.
helpful.
They're really good.
Okay, so what you see here is a breakdown of our cost estimate with these 90% drawings. You'll see the base bid estimate also includes our already underway engineering work, but that's at about $700,000 right now. And we've broken things out into 6 additional alternatives. Those alternatives include the electrical service to the site and some different options for that electrical service, whether that's direct bury or pole-mounted service to this back corner of the park. We also have the prefabricated shelter separated out as an alternate to give the city some flexibility on that. Some of those are larger ticket items, right? And we just want to make sure we can accomplish everything here. Same thing goes with that on-site electrical work. So that lighting within the shelter, everything from the pedestal and meter to that shelter itself. And then picnic table is a small ticket item there, but then tree replacements is another expense that we've gotten broken out right now. If that is awarded, we don't have specific locations within the park for all those plantings, being that right now we're also looking at master planning for the entirety of the park, right?
Mhm.
And right now with the number of trees specified for replacement, just due to our removals, it's a lot of trees, and we don't want to jam all those into that back corner. Kind of want to leave the city some flexibility in terms of, okay, where do we want to put these that you're not removing them 2 years from now with something else going on in the park, right? So,
Right.
that's kind of just a blanket item for tree purchase and install somewhere within Elsie Stevens Park is how that's broken out. It also includes our estimated construction administration costs and a 10% contingency. So, grand scheme of things, if you were to award with all alternates, choosing in between A1 and A2 there with how you bring electrical service into the site. This could range from $700,000 to $900,000 is what we're estimating right now, depending on what the city ultimately decides to award, where bid prices come in at. We do our best at estimating, but we can't make any guarantees, so hopefully this gives us some flexibility.
But we're already under contract for the 118.
Yes, and that's shown in there just to give you a big picture
Right.
of your global costs, right? to
And the
date on
big
the
picture
project.
global cost does include the 118? The 701?
Yes, that includes that 118, correct. Yeah, your base bid construction estimates just under 500 in there. For those base bid items. which is essentially everything but the electrical, the tree replacements, and the shelter.
Right.
Yeah.
So Marty, from us, you would like us to pick apart these alternatives?
No, I think that what we do is put this out to bid, and then when we get the
Okay.
price, and then we'll select the alternatives.
Okay, that works.
Are we still thinking we have that 850,000 coming from the grant?
Yeah, we've got 950,000 coming.
Okay. Not
We'll
the,
do it all.
Not the 3.9 million, but still.
Yeah.
Still, okay.
But I'd like to have some money to put in with the Three Rivers
Yeah.
Park District to do
Fine.
something good in park there, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of what I was hoping to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Specifically because when we applied for the federal grant, it was for the two
It
locations.
was for
no, absolutely.
both.
I just wanted to,
Yeah.
it had changed from one to the next. I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to add the alternates in there so we can
Yeah.
do both things.
That flexibility would be nice, especially for items like the shelter.
Right.
Should Marty decide it's more responsible, right? We're getting close on dollars and he'd rather spend it at Gooden Park. The shelter can be bought at a discounted price if it's a direct purchase by the city, right? The reason it's included in this is because you can use funding dollars
Yeah.
potentially on it, right?
Sure.
But there's different options there, and we'll see. It might pay you right to direct purchase it later.
And it might come in as part of the master plan as well at a later time as well. So we're not losing
Right.
anything by planning this out now the way it is.
Right,
Sounds
because you
good to
can
me.
get it later.
That's good.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
No more questions?
Nice work. We're easy on you.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Thank you.
Wonderful rendering. That was
No,
really
yeah.
brings it to life.
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you for bringing
I'm an
those.
engineer, I think.
So that,
Well, whoever had the idea, it really makes it easier for
It
us to
does help us
visualize.
visualize.
Yeah, I do appreciate that.
And we'll see those in Marty's office moving forward. Right?
Framed.
Sure, yeah.
Framed even.
Right.
Go hang them in the gear
From the
room
dollar
next
store?
door there.
I got some skilled guys that work for me. They can knock out the frame.
They're plowing snow right now. Come on now. All right.
After that stuff.
Next presentation, Paul, with the Park Improvements 2024 bid assessments. Alternatives discussion, sorry.
Are you on this one or?
Which is the big Excel spreadsheet, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got it? Okay.
We're going to have the spreadsheet up live here because this is a complicated bidding project because of the way that the bids were structured with base bid and a number of alternates and then a last minute change at the direction of the council to have all of Elsie Stevens as an alternate. So quite a lot to discuss and noodle on today. I've got a cheat sheet in front of me that will hopefully allow me to quickly answer your questions, but this is for the 2025 PIP, Parks Improvement Package, that was bid last Thursday. We had 6 bids received Thursday at 3 p.m. Since that time, I've taken all that data, synthesized it, and put together the spreadsheet that's up on the screen right now.
They do have the full thing as well. I printed that out for them. So
Okay.
I have a copy of the whole thing.
Great. So you'll be able to see individual line items. The color coding that you see underneath the individual contractors, the green represents the low bids for each of those sections. So the 2 top items being the base bid for PSA 21 and Ione Gardens, and then the alternates, a total of 10, I believe. 10. Veda Contracting was the apparent low from a base bid perspective, but they would not be the apparent low depending on which alternates were selected. The award is based on the total, so any accepted alternates plus base bid. So in some ways, it could be skewed, I guess, 11 different ways, because we have a base bid total and then 10 different alternates that could or could not be added to that. The highlights in kind of dark yellow on the left side, those are just my opinion of where I thought would be a good starting point to talk about as the likely alternates. The bids were very competitive. We had 4 that were very close together, and 2 others, one that we had to throw out because they didn't acknowledge the addendum. It's still represented in your package because it's good historical data to work from, and I do these synthesis efforts for every project to have a running total and be able to do estimates for future projects. Interestingly, Parkstone Construction that did the 2022 was the high for this project, so he must not have liked Marty. That's what I'm guessing.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah.
Wow, throwing people under the bus. Let's keep going here.
So the good news is the funding that's been allocated for the project could meet all of the park needs as bid. So it really, we want to get your input tonight and pass that on to the city council at the next meeting. Some of the alternates are things that can only be done now. Others, like tree plantings, can be done over time, but my opinion is that trees are kind of important to parks and we should plant some sooner than later. So they were pulled out. Most of the landscaping was pulled out as an alternate because it's such an easy thing to designate as an alternate. So the IOA estimate, that's my company, Inside Outside Architecture. The deviation from the low, you'll see that we were within 8% on the base bid total. When you look at the low compared, or excuse me, our estimate to the average, we were within 4% for most of it. So very competitive bids, very much in concert with what we had estimated. Some of the alternates, a little bit harder to estimate because they're very site-specific items. Some of those we nailed right on, some of those we missed a bit, but in total, when you look at the overall park project, I think we're right there. So that's good. When you look at some historical data, which is interesting, Hayden Hills is the most similar project that we've built in recent years. So that was a 2022 project. Base bid plus the accepted alternates for the golf and the pickleball was just under $500,000, $497 roughly. If you added irrigation and parking to that, you'd be up at over $782,000. PSA 21, which is the most comparable park, is coming in at $927. That's an 18.5% increase over 3 years. So when you think about what grocery prices have done and all the different costs that you hear about inflation, 18.5% over 3 years is huge.
Yeah.
We usually account for about 3% per year. So 3 times 3 times 3 is what, 10.5. So yeah, things are not getting any cheaper, but I do feel good about the bids that we received, and getting 6 for a project of this size I thought was really good participation. All good companies. Veda Contracting is the one we know the least about, but they won the bridge project over at Elsie Stevens that's underway right now. A much smaller company than some of the others. Custom Builders has been around for a couple decades. He's been very active in trying to get an answer from me over the last few days. So I apologize that you haven't had more time to digest this, but literally it was bid last Thursday at 3 and took through the weekend and into yesterday to get the results in front of both Marty and I. Marty and I sat down and kind of went through them. I'm happy to look at any options that you want. You don't have to certainly agree with my yellow highlight suggestions, but those were the things that I thought gained the most traction as we've had previous conversations. And I have some other exhibits that can highlight where those alternates are if you need to remember. But
I'd say moving forward, make sure this gets in front of us before the meeting. I had a discussion with Marty. Our job here is to come prepared to discuss things. It's important we have the documents to do that. So any other bidding we do throughout the year, even if it comes in on a Thursday, same situation, our email comes out to us that Friday before, there's more documents coming. Just get it out in front of us. So as you can see, we're all studying here.
Yep.
So.
And I'm happy to stay and answer as many questions as you want to shorten that learning process. The three alternates that are not proposed, in my recommendation, would be the standalone cornhole element at PSA 21. And then I'm on the fence on the other two, the stone seat wall and fireplace, exterior fireplace at Elsie, and there's some entry columns. Those actually came in pretty good. I didn't estimate that well, but the pricing came in really good, and the value for what I saw in the 6 different bids, the apparent low or the likely low being either Beta or Custom Builders. Custom Builders has got a really good number on that, should you choose to go that route. And if you remember, that was one thing that we talked about, not necessarily a high priority for the Park Commission, but it was already conceptually detailed. I wanted to see what it would actually cost, because it's a feature that oftentimes makes its way into master plans. And so now we have good data on which to make a decision. When you look farther down in the live spreadsheet here, is that what you picked up, Marty? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So there's 2 other options. The only way that Beta would be the apparent low was if we just did base bid. So the 2 top line items. When you start to look at most of the other alternates, there's a couple different scenarios there where they could still win, but it flips over to Custom Builders if most of those other alternates are accepted. And that's a little bit unusual, I would say. Usually the apparent low is pretty obvious in a public bid situation, but when you had 6 and they were as close as those first 4 were, it's tight. But it's not so tight that a 3rd and 4th contender are in the running. Would you like to see where the other alternates are located?
I think we're still just digesting your numbers here.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
You want to see them? Sure. So this is Park Service Area 21. The 3 alternates that are recommended to accept, all the trees shown with the green highlight. The purple shaded area includes 6 ornamental trees, but the biggest element here is a stone seat wall and landscaping, a raised berm that slopes away from the playground, so you'd have limestone blocks for seating on the entire south side. The trees would have shade. And then the 3rd alternate would be a concrete edger around the sand volleyball court. The 4th element that I'm not proposing would be the standalone cornhole game right here on the north side of the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
That helped, thank you.
Yep. I own gardens. I don't know why the color isn't showing, but all of the trees, coniferous trees, for some reason when the developer built this project and dedicated this land, there was supposed to be coniferous trees included, and they were never planted. I don't know why. Just the coniferous trees. So this would capture a total of 21 coniferous trees to add some screening from the adjoining residents.
What is the tree type?
The tree type?
I was wondering that too.
Listed right in the schedule here. So
Can't
spruce
see it.
and pine.
Blues?
Spruce and pine.
Black Hills, Colorado spruce, and ponderosa.
Colorado, got it.
And when you said ornamental trees, do you mean something beyond that, or you mentioned ornamental trees
And
at one
PSA
point?
That was for Park Service 21. That
Okay.
was, there's 6 ornamental trees included in the alternate right here. The green colored trees are part of a larger alternate for tree plantings.
Gotcha.
What is the species of the ornamentals? Is that
That's what I was wondering. yeah.
specified? Look to it, I'm not sure if I have
Box elder?
Spring snow.
What was
Spring
it?
snow crabapple.
that. Okay.
So a fruitless white flowering
Yeah.
crab.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
That's pretty.
We have one.
big
I was
thing.
gonna say, we have one too.
We don't want fruit around those seat walls. And, near the playground.
Kids' mouths.
When you look at the alternates for Elsie Stevens, so this is an enlargement of the picnic shelter area. The blue area would be the seat wall and centered fireplace, outdoor fireplace. The purple squares shown there are the stone entry columns, and I've got the detail pages that highlight those. And the other alternates would be the big alternate for the parking, and then the gate at the historic entrance.
Is this the place where we were talking about the fire pits and
Yep.
stuff?
In
Okay,
the
just
shoulder,
making sure.
yeah.
Yep.
So this detail page shows the stone veneer columns, the decorative double swing gate at the historic entrance, and then this shows the seat wall and sloped landscaping at PSA 21, and then the outdoor fireplace and seat wall at Elsie Stevens.
Nice. So Marty, what do you need from us on this?
I'd like some direction as what you want to do for alternates. So we've got something to, your recommendations to take to the council. I'd just like to point out that in the one fund, the 405 Park Dedication Fund, we have got $1,850,000 dedicated for this project.
Which
There-
project? Elise Stevens or
All three.
all three of these?
2024.
Okay,
Three.
1.8.
This park
1.85?
Huh?
1.85, is it?
Yeah, 1.85 is what's in the CIP. There is some irrigation included in one of the bids for Area 21. We can use funding from the water fund
Okay.
for that element.
So
So
you-
that we can
Sure.
take that out of the costs if you want to do more alternates.
So that was $225,000 for the irrigation at Park Service Area 21, and then another
225,000
$225
for water.
for
Irrigation.
irrigation.
Okay.
Is that a new well or city?
That's a city, where you got to get all the electric there and all the
Big.
all the pipes
Sure.
and pumps
Yeah,
and
sure.
all that good stuff.
So we need to subtract 200 some
Okay.
from, so if we have, what was it, 1.8?
Yeah,
We need to subtract 200 from that.
yeah, 225
And,
from that, yeah.
Yeah, 225, okay, yep.
Well,
Actually,
no.
no.
No, I think you're saying
No.
the other, he's saying the
No.
other way around.
Other way around.
200
Oh.
of
You
this
add it to it.
can be covered by another fund.
Oh,
So
okay.
our 1.8.
That
We're
makes-
over 2 million.
That makes more sense, okay,
And the
okay.
trails are about another 60,000,
Yeah.
possibly more.
That's another fund though, isn't it?
Again,
That's
Right.
included in another fund.
it could be, yeah.
Okay.
But I think that, if we can do all the alternates and
Preserve
from
that
what we've
trail
got
fund.
from the 405 and the
Right.
water fund.
Yeah.
And if we can leave the trail fund for more of our trail projects.
Yeah, I think that'd be
do
wise.
Well, I know we weren't like super with you on the fireplace and stone seating wall initially, but I don't know, I kind of like it after you've shown
For
this.
50,000 though?
I guess I like
which
the
one we were
idea of the lower impact fire pits, but I don't know if that's maybe something you just.
Oh, I thought that was already
happen outside of
happening.
this.
We do have lower impact fire pits scattered below the.
Oh,
that
okay.
wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two different locations with a
Okay. Okay. I
Grand.
thought that was in. I thought this was just the interpretation of that. Okay.
no.
Cool.
So the
Yeah, I really
alternate
like
was
it
for
too,
the
but for
actual
50.
stone.
I think we could spend
Very
50 somewhere
true.
else within the park for it. Could
So
do
we want
more
to use this
concrete
time to
blocks for the
focus
other
on
side.
going through each one of the alternates?
But I
Is that
definitely
kinda what
think
you're
tree
thinking?
planting should be
I think the
Oh, I agree.
alternates
a
are
Yeah.
already out
no-brainer.
at the
Yep.
front here, so.
Okay, do you have any, I think it all looks good. Are we
Especially
wanting to
after our
pick?
conversation about
Do you
half
want
our
us to
trees
go
dying.
through
Bid
these
or-
extras and cross them off, or?
Tell me what ones you want to include in the project. We can include all of them with the budget that we have, or if there's some that you specifically don't want, then we can take those out.
Well, let's go one by one then, group.
Okay.
The first one, retaining walls and landscape.
I mean, I,
Is that for Elise
Is
Stevens? Is that?
that's
No,
that-
that was
That's the Park Service
that
Area
was the-
21.
PSA
It's the
21.
bench?
Slopes.
Yeah.
The bench under the ornamental trees.
Correct.
Yes.
yeah,
I'm in
I'm
favor of
for
that,
that as
absolutely.
well.
Can you do it through David so we
I'm
can
just,
all agree?
I was just
So,
trying to
yeah,
help you so you didn't
Gotcha.
have to ask.
Okay, so the retaining wall for PSA 21.
We got, how many people want that? Do we all
I'm
want it?
in favor of that.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
I'm in favor of it.
We're all in on that one.
All right.
Cool.
All right, concrete edge and volleyball court. Again, PSA 21.
And not being a volleyball player, the value of that is, I mean, aside from keeping the weeds separate, is that the main thing that it gets us, or?
From my perspective, it's for keeping the sand in
Yeah.
there, and it's a lot easier for us to mow up to
Yeah,
that.
and that
rather
makes perfect sense.
Rather than having, what happens
Is
to
it
an
a-
edge without anything there,
Mhm.
it just gets eroded after a while.
Well, if it looks nice, I think I'm
And
probably
it's
more
a
likely to use
sand
it.
volleyball court?
Correct.
How
For
many people are gonna
14,000?
stub their toes on
Well-
concrete as they're playing barefoot?
Yeah,
in
and I'm not worried
volleyball?
about stubbing toes, but I was worried about injury.
I
Kids and
think-
biking or diving.
No, I'm
It's
just,
not
I'm just
uncommon to
curious.
have an obstacle as you get well outside the court, and it is well outside the actual
Playing area.
Oh, okay.
playing area. The sand
Okay.
fills up the majority of that, so you wouldn't, it's not like a...
It's not like right to the edge of where the,
No,
Correct.
it's not right on the edge
The
of the
net.
playing area.
It's more to create, to keep the sand in, to keep the weeds out, and to create an easier mowing for them.
that makes sense.
I think it's
Okay.
not, very rarely would you be going as far
I just
as, if
wanted
that's
to
what
make
I'm thinking
sure.
is, you're probably not gonna be,
Okay.
like, going for a
Diving.
ball in the back row and all of a sudden you crack your face on the
Cool.
concrete edging.
It might surprise you, I don't look like it, but I've played a lot of sand volleyball in my life.
I don't want that picture.
Back in La Jolla?
Injury
or-
from Cancun in playing the
just don't need
Russians.
that.
but
Playing the Russians.
All right,
Two
so,
Russian dentists, they were great.
so
Couldn't
the
understand a word they said.
concrete edge around the volleyball court,
Okay,
$14,000 to $10,000. What's the group's thought?
yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I feel like
think
it
it
would save
does.
us
Okay.
I
headaches
also
in the
feel like it
future.
keeps us, it makes it look a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it's a
All in?
polished look.
It's
All right.
very, very much a maintenance consideration. It's for Marty and his crew's benefit more than the players.
Right.
You're welcome, Marty.
Thank you,
And you
guys.
also
want
think though they
Christmas
actually, but you also actually might save some too, because then you're not gonna have all that sand get as displaced.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whereas without it, it just kind of all of a sudden you start putting the sand in the grass, and 5 years from now we don't have any sand left.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever been to a volleyball court? Sorry.
Yes.
And the volleyball court was as hard as concrete the sand was?
Yes.
How do we plan to mitigate that?
So the specification calls for a washed sand. So washed sand does not have the fines. So if you're a soil scientist, the fines are what actually allow things to compact.
Bind together. Yep.
The more evenly graded that sand is, the less likely it is to compact.
Cool.
So it's very purposefully spec'd out as washed sand.
How
And
deep of the sand is it?
10 to 12 inches.
Oh.
And it's over a geotextile fabric, so you don't have the migration of the fines in the subsoil into the sand.
Good to know.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, cornhole.
So we're going with the edger.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The low bid on the cornhole was right at $6,500, just under $6,500. That would be the goals themselves and the concrete. Bring your own bags, which is one of the challenges, is if the bags aren't there.
Is it
people
one
play.
set or is it two sets of cornhole?
One set with a concrete walkway in between.
For 65.
Pass.
I've
Yeah,
got two sets
I
in my
think
shed. I don't use enough to.
I was gonna say,
John
I
will
feel like
bring
a lot of
his
people
own
could bring their
Leave
own.
his phone number.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
If you're going to play.
I actually have
probably-
several in my garage I could just donate.
Yeah,
Same.
6,500 just seems high. I mean,
It does.
yeah.
And it's, so permanent.
Yeah,
That's
I say
enough.
pass.
because then
That's
it
enough.
changes the space, right? Because if
Yeah.
it's just nothing, you can make whatever you want it to be. It
And
could be
there's plenty of
cornhole one
green
day, it could be
space. Bocce
soccer the
ball
next day, it could be whatever. But
Yeah.
if it becomes permanent, then we.
Yeah, I agree.
The next item is all the trees shown in green on this map.
100%.
I'm a
Yeah.
Yes,
tree
please.
fan. Yep. Marty, yay on the trees.
Got it.
Similarly, IOGA, that was the only alternate for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I say
We're in
yes.
favor of that.
We like trees.
Hence our
That
next
poor park deserves them.
subject.
So the next one is really a philosophical. ESPAA was not even supposed to be there. We were supposed to have Elsie Stevens as part of the base bid with the four alternates listed below that. So the late direction from the council, we took that out. Contractors that were bidding were not thrilled with that change. It made their lives harder and probably affected the bids to some degree. But we did the best we could to to take all of that work that was to be base bid, and it's a standalone alternate. So for Elsie Stevens, the only way you would accept the other 4 is if you would accept the first one. You
Because
can
that's just a
accept-
combo of all A, B, C, D together, cost-wise.
Is there a combo of that? That would be the total of these.
Right.
He's asking if that's what that number is.
The
Is
370.
ESPAA the sum of ESPA through D?
No.
No, okay.
That's
Okay.
more
It's a separate number.
it's all the base stuff on page 3,
If you
right?
want to do base bid, it's 371. If you want a parking
I
lot,
think,
add
I
another.
think I follow, yeah.
Gotcha now.
Which is like parking, picnic shelter and patio and landscaping.
Correct. So the base bid includes back to the plan quickly.
Bless you.
The base bid includes this loop and this parking. I shouldn't say base bid. The first alternate, AA, includes all of that. The parking that I refer to is this parking as alternate ESPA.
Got it.
So the base, what was to be base bid, now alternate AA was the shelter, the fire pit, the paving around and underneath the shelter, some of the trail connections, the grading, things like that. But again, you can only accept A, B, C, or D if you accept AA.
And I think we all accept AA, kind of the base plan we went with.
Yep.
Marty, we accept that?
Good.
All right, who's in favor of the west parking lot?
You gotta have parking, right?
You do have to have parking, it has been a problem. Just
Yeah.
want everybody to realize the price that we're throwing in here is 130 to 150.
I mean, is it gonna get cheaper in the future?
Nope,
Are we gonna need it less in the future?
Nope.
nope.
I mean, then are we sure that's where we
Good
want it,
questions,
maybe?
John.
How many
You're spot
stalls?
on.
How many stalls?
How many stalls?
Ooh.
3? 30?
They got enough for a small car show?
That's a really good question. And I may not
Did
be
you
able
have
to
any
answer
other
quickly.
questions, Councilman? I'm sorry.
It was on one of these maps, I thought I saw a picture.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna have a question for Paul, yeah.
Sorry, I can't answer that, but
1, 2,
60?
3. Okay.
That's,
So
Paul,
is-
that's kind of right in the middle of the park, right? On that west end?
Right along the
It's
driveway.
Kind of where the silos are, kind of?
These are the grain bins right here.
Oh, that helps, there's the green bins.
So
Okay,
the
so-
old building remains is here, the old barn. You're just catching the edge of that. So this
Okay, yeah.
is basically just,
You said remains? Remains? Does that mean we're knocking it down?
No, the one that's already knocked down.
The old barn, not the horse barn.
I drove by today, and it's still standing.
so this is just inside the existing asphalt road that we built last phase. So there's a
Okay.
green strip in between the road, and then it's a 60-foot offset off of that.
So can you, I'm sorry to ask this, I'm just not remembering. Since there is east parking in the AA bid, and then this is west parking, can you just remind me where?
Okay, so here's the picnic shelter. There's just 6 stalls right here on this little loop drive, kind of a U-shaped loop drive that would access that. That meets
And
our,
that's the AA.
the
that's in
base.
the AA.
Okay.
This-
I'm sorry, I just could not remember where the AA was.
Yeah,
This is for once we have more stuff that we would need more parking
Right, we need
for.
more than 6 stalls. I just couldn't remember where those were. Thank you.
And you said you think it's about 60?
yeah. I can't see the stripes on this plan, I'm sorry, but
But
it's,
60 for 130 seems reasonable.
So to throw a wrench in all that, if we move forward with west parking, would we be hampering the master plan?
No, I don't think that we would, because this was kind of in the original master plan, I believe.
But this is the new master plan.
I know, so that, they're gonna move on from the,
Okay.
those elements that were in that master plan, they're gonna add to it, and, a lot of that is gonna be what that building looks like, expanding the
Sure.
performance area and that kind of stuff, so they would add on to what we do here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
so the parking, you can't just do the parking without having stormwater, and So this basin, this sewer connection, storm sewer connection underneath the road, which requires a road crossing, that is all included in that alternate.
Okay.
It would
So
not
that's
be
why
re-
that asphalt is so expensive. It's because it's a lot more than just the asphalt.
Well, the total, right, yeah.
I know. I mean, they don't look beautiful from the bird's eye view here. They're probably. So yeah, there's a lot of trees there.
Every tree is beautiful.
I
Yeah, it's only
I generally agree. I mean, the next item, I agree, but there's
Okay.
certain trees that.
So
I don't
everybody
mind
in favor of
replacing.
parking?
Yeah.
I think so.
Think so, okay.
I'm just a little slow with my
No worries, take your
thinking
time.
it through today,
So
because I didn't come,
when you look at the line items for that alternate, the actual asphalt is about 35,000 of that 130.
Wow, quarter of the cost, okay.
Right, there's curb, there's the grading, there's the utilities, which are a big part of that, so.
Got it.
so I guess I'm going to go backwards and just ask the question for the whole base bid.
Yeah,
So we changed it to be an alternative because of the fact that we're now looking at the whole park again. Is that why?
That was
Is that
kind of
the
what-
reason why?
There was,
And-
yeah, I spoke with Zach, and Zach asked me, because I think some of the council members had spoken to him, saying we've got this master plan coming, maybe we should back off on doing
Yeah.
this part. That's why we put in as an alternate, because the bid was already out there, and if we just left it in there, we would have had to take.
You have
yeah,
to
we'd have to
take it.
cancel the whole project. So all
Right.
none of the 3 parts would be done, so we put it in as an alternate to give us the option to at least do the other 2 parts, and then
Yeah.
include
So-
whatever we wanted with this, see what the pricing came
Right.
in at.
So I think I am changing my vote.
on the base bid,
Yeah.
is there something specific within the base bid you are not happy with?
I just feel like if we're going to be paying a company to be looking at our park that we've already decided we're going to do, we've already awarded that, then they should be able to have the free range of that park.
Of the whole area?
With the idea
I'm-
that money would be allocated then more towards.
I mean, that
That-
we would
that-
still save the money for that.
Right, right.
But my concern is, I mean, if we put these things in, yes, we know we need another parking lot. Yes, we know we need these different things, but I don't want us to hinder it and then us regret a decision or
Sure.
tear something up. And so, at first, I didn't understand why it was an alternate. It just took my brain a little bit to get to there.
Oh, sure, all good.
So, I guess I understand why it was turned into an alternate, and maybe we need to think about that before we just move forward with.
And the reason why it was part of the 2024 project was the council wanted to keep us moving on that project. And that's kind of what delayed getting the bid in, out and everything, because that was a last minute ad and there was a lot of work in there. It's your decision whichever way you go. If you don't want to do it, that's fine, and we can just add it into the master plan, and that's fine as well.
Okay.
So you have
So-
already paid to have that designed. So,
Right.
No, yeah, I know,
well, you haven't yet because I haven't sent you the invoice, but
but we will.
You will,
And so we're
so-
technically paying for it twice.
We would be, yeah.
We would be paying for it twice.
right.
I'm just trying to,
Nope, that's great.
That's fine.
I'm just trying to work it all through. I'm not in construction.
The other thing, as I already illustrated, with pricing doing what it has done,
It's gonna
if
keep
you don't
going
build it
up.
for 2 years, it's going to be
It's
12.
gonna keep going
With
up.
that,
Yeah, and I'm not saying,
not
I guess
want it
I'm
there.
not saying I'm set on not doing it. I just want to make sure we really think about it before we just plow forward.
sure.
So the one thing that I do have to highlight is there is no way, possibly through change order, but it's going to be over a 10 or 20% threshold. The way the documents are structured,
Uh-huh.
you have base bid for the 2 parks and everything else is an alternate. You can't just buy the parking, well, actually, you could just buy the parking lot.
Paul, that's a question that I'm going to have. when we look at this next week, what happens if we go through this thing and we take pieces out?
Pieces that are alternates are fine.
No,
Pieces
pieces that are not
base
altered,
bid?
they're in the base bid.
For the Elsie Stevens
For Elsie
base bid?
Stevens, there is nothing in the base bid.
No, I understand that. Well, in the base bid, yeah, there's, the shelter's in there.
No.
Right.
Everything's an alternate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything related to Elsie Stevens is alternate.
So for any of the parks, just say, as an example, Area 21, the 18 by 18 shelter. What happens if you take that out? It's my thought, this is my thought, and I think we can do this. I mean, contractors aren't going to like it, I understand that. What happens if you take that out and give it to a local contractor in the city to build it?
If it's within a certain threshold, we can do it through change order.
Okay.
If it exceeds,
25, I think.
I thought it was 20, I'll have to look at
Most
that.
cities and
If it's
counties
over
are
a certain amount,
25.
then the contractor has rights. We have rights up to a certain percentage, and then if we go beyond that, then the contractor has rights to say, no, I'm not going to do it.
So you're saying, I think what you're saying is if the bid is $1 million and you take out $100,000, he can say, no, I'm not going to do it. Or increase the cost of everything
He
else.
doesn't have to honor the bid price.
Okay. Okay.
That's the challenge of public bid, right? It's not just negotiation,
Right. This is what
there's
you're
certain
bidding
things
on.
we
You
can
can't just
do, and we
remove
try
it.
to design it in a way that we have as much flexibility as we can, but we can't make every single item an alternate, because nobody would bid it.
Yeah.
Right.
So back to the team here. Let's talk about this AA alternate, like Carrie was. I'm curious to hear what the rest of your thoughts are about the big grand master plan, and we may be hindering something by moving forward, or we move it forward, so.
I will say, sorry, you go first.
I was just trying to play this out in my head. If we move forward with this, and, the pros of that being that we're potentially saving money because it would be more expensive in the future, et cetera, et cetera. Realistically, with where this is located in Elsie Stevens, what couldn't we do if we built this? Like, is there anything in our imaginations of what this park would be that we all of a sudden would not be able to build and
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Because if the answer to that is nothing, like based on what we've thought of, then I think we move forward with it. That's just my thought process.
Correct, like the
of it.
west
That's
parking,
just the
right?
base
If you're
bid.
saying, hey, I don't want to do the west parking, well, what were you planning on putting there?
Right.
Or what else would you
Exactly.
rather do there? I think part of why we're using the space we're using, it's not the most desired part of the park, so use it for parking instead of taking away some of the bigger play area, et
Yep.
cetera. Is that kind of where, yeah.
That's exactly where I'm going.
I agree with you 100%.
And the base bid does include just that little parking area.
There is no base bid, alternate AA.
Yeah.
Thank you, alternate AA, semantics on words.
No, but
Shelter.
that's a good point.
But that's what it needs to
And
be.
landscaping. And everybody is still in favor of that?
Yes.
I think I'm
am.
in favor of it still.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
Yeah, thanks for letting me
for sure.
ask. You take more time.
I understand it better now that you asked and put it that way.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
I do too. So for the west parking lot,
So there's a few
Handshakes.
trees
Yes.
in that area.
okay? Okay, we get
That area was kept
Yeah.
free of
Hold
most
on.
of,
Hi, you in favor of the parking?
Well, I want to finish hearing
Okay.
what he's
I
saying.
was just going to explain. When we did phase 2, there was a whole bunch of dirt that Marty collected over the years. It would have been very costly to move that dirt off the site. It got scattered in other areas of the park. There was scrub trees and whatever. That creates a lot of the mounding that's really nice when you're out there. Those will be very difficult areas to use in the future for other than open space, because there's dirt over trees and it's a little bit of a mess underneath there, but we had to get rid of the dirt in a fairly short window. So the parking area, the west parking area, was kept clear of that, knowing that we needed parking. It was part of the original master plan dating back to 2010.
Something like that,
Yeah, my previous company was involved in that. We've always master planned parking. There was plans for a larger kind of destination playground in and around the ruins of the old barn. Not the barn that's currently standing, but the old barn that's just stone walls. So that is still planned someday. And there's been updates of that master plan over time, but the semicircular parking lot has been part of the revised master plan for quite a while. So we knew to keep that area clear of fill, basically.
I think that answers Kai's question about like what
What
else
else
are we
would
going to
be
do with that
put-
space?
yeah.
Right.
And it seems like this is a pretty logical
This makes
choice
sense, yeah.
based on what you're saying and what the long-term plan has been for quite some time.
Right. And there still is room to do a destination playground, although there's been some debate as to, given that River Hills is reasonably close, do we need it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that I hope will be vetted during the revised master plan.
Right.
But if you do build a playground there,
It's River
any
Hills
type of
supposed to be
element, it's going to need
destination.
parking. So.
Well, it's just that they have I think.
And I don't know what the
parks.
timeline is
There's
for
this-
the
this
actual
park right
event
here is
center.
pretty
and,
good size.
A parking that would be east of the
It's-
ravine.
It is connected,
You're going to need
so there's
even
a
more
tunnel
parking.
underneath the
someday.
road.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a neighborhood park, just for a big
Right.
neighborhood.
Right.
Parking.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Gate and historic entrance.
So that was a detail I had drawn for Marty many months ago, years probably ago.
Yeah.
We were going to have that just built at Crystal Welding or something like that, and you still could. But because the detail already existed and we were bidding this project, we threw it in as an alternate to see what kind of pricing we would get, given that there was already going to be contractors on site, concrete on site. And it came in at 10,300 was the low.
And what does this look like?
Did you have a drawing of it by chance, or a
Rendering of sorts.
rendering, right?
It looks like this. So it's a double swing. The columns and the light pole is already there, so the posts would be set just in front of that, and then it would swing out. It's also a requirement of the Hennepin County.
Yeah.
To
There's
have
got
a
to be a
shut-
controlled access on that particular.
And the
one,
control is
we
just
could- So we had
manual?
the other access. That was the only reason we could get that, otherwise we'd have been stuck with just this one access here. So to still make it usable in the case of emergency for fire department or police, I said to them, can we do a controlled access, and they
Sure.
agreed to that. So that's
And it's
why
closed until we need it for an event or an emergency.
Yeah.
And then it's like just locked with a padlock, I'm guessing. We don't need
Yeah,
anything
but-
automated or fancy.
No, it's not going to
Okay.
be that fancy. I
Cool.
think padlock will be good.
So it has a hasp panel right in the middle, and then it has these decorative Dayton logo flat steel panels in the middle.
Which
So does it have
tie in with the
a
largest-
roof over the top then, kind of? Like, am I understanding that correctly? It's,
No.
No,
okay.
these are the historic stone columns. that
Oh, I
used to
understand now.
have
I was
the
looking at
jockeys.
it completely wrong. Yes, okay.
Yeah,
So this
those-
is this something that will like
That makes
stand out as people are driving by? Like this is something, or is it? I'm trying to decide if this looks just kind of like I've seen at other parks where it's just like.
So I guess the short answer is, we have to put it in, it's just whether or not it's part of this bid or not.
Got it. Okay.
And I think there's a time frame with the county as well that we would need to get it in. I think there's 5 years from the original, them saying that we could do it.
Well, again, it's not going to be cheaper later, so.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gotta be done. Okay.
And then the last two are the stone seat well fireplace and the stone entry columns.
I really like that fireplace, but I feel like that maybe is best left with that master plan. I don't know.
understand. Yeah.
So if it were just base bid, there would be just a single stainless steel rail. It's not over a 30-inch drop, so we don't need, your 4-inch opening protective guardrail. It just needs to keep people from accidentally walking over that drop. So that slopes down. You see the steps here on the sides. The patio sits up high with the shelter, and then it overlooks that wooded area and ultimately the river. So this was designed to be a wood burning fireplace with a flue stone veneer. So you had wood storage compartments on either side, the firebox here with the flue up to a galvanized rain cap.
I'm still not a fan, sorry.
That's fine.
I'm just one of five.
I'm a
It's
huge
neat.
fan, but I don't
It's
think
just
right
like,
now.
yeah.
I think yeah. If it shakes out as where they want it in the master plan, I think I'd be all in favor. But I don't want to commit to it right now.
Yeah, going through everything else that we've gone through and
I want
feeling
my
like
yard,
all
though.
of that is more important.
Okay.
This feels easy
Who
to
knows?
say no to.
So if you were to not
No's for those two.
do
The last
that,
two.
then I would probably suggest that these also not be done, which are
Yep.
the entrance columns.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the
Yep.
same.
Yeah. I'd agree.
And those were, oops, right here, kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
a gateway to the shelter.
Yeah, everything else feels pretty important in comparison.
Cool.
So those recommendations jive with what I had highlighted, which, when you total it here, would put custom builders as the apparent low in a very tight race of separation of just $8,100 and some change.
Okay.
Cool.
And I
What
like
I
that they've been around longer, right? So that's a good sign.
Have we ever done any work with them before?
I think we have. I don't, for the life of me, remember what project it was on. I'd have to look
Yeah.
to see what it was.
That's
but
okay.
They've
I
got
was
a good
just curious.
reputation, know of them, so.
Okay.
Does the city have a strategy of trying to spread it around, if you will? You know, like you said, we're doing something with Veda right now.
Yeah,
Right?
it's not usually that. It's usually the lowest bidder that we're
Sure.
obligated to take the lowest bid.
But if they're that close and you can kind of go back and forth, is that
You still
nobody
have-
ever looks at it's always about the dollar?
It's always the bottom
Yeah,
number.
Bottom.
ultimately, I mean, we do have some language in the specifications that if there was an obvious capacity issue or a staffing issue or something, you could use that, but generally you're bound to go with the lowest responsive bid. They did have some very minor math errors that could be used to exclude them if you really wanted to. I talked to them about that, made them aware of that. It doesn't change the result of any of that. It was just, they deleted something when they should have added it, and they skipped one line. It wouldn't have changed the bid results. In fact, it tightened it, so it made it more close.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your input. We will pass this on to the city council for their ultimate approval. Construction would begin as early as June 1.
Okay.
I'll hold you to it. Excited to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering my questions.
You bet.
All right, Marty.
Last-
Tree ordinance.
The last is the tree ordinance. This has been doing the rounds. I gave you the final version with all the comments in there. Do you have any comments to add before I pull the final document together?
I read through it and I didn't have anything.
I didn't have any changes either.
Nope.
No, apparently my comments made it in there and they responded to them. It's like, how did they? That's cool.
Nice work.
I guess that's what I get for sharing a digital document. That's awesome. No, I mean, I guess based on the last work session, I'm not sure if there'll be support for it, depending on how it's interpreted, but
Yeah.
we'll have to let them vote on it.
All right, I'll get the final document made up from this, and then we'll put that in front of the council.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Will the Arbor Day proclamation go in front of the council too?
No, I think,
Oh.
no, I think we won't bother with that, Yes, of course, I'll get that done.
We like our trees, Marty.
I know you
And
do.
trails and parks.
Well, that's good. We like that you like that. All right.
right, next Park Commission meeting is May 6th. Entertain a motion.
I had one thing, sorry.
Go ahead then.
Last fire training meeting, we were talking about all the experience we've had with grass fires. We've had, lot going on this spring. So I guess it's dry, don't burn. But as we were commenting on how these places are going to grow back so good, they mentioned that the department burned cloquet a while back and asked if there were any other prescribed burns on the radar. And kind of half joking, but then thinking more about it, I wondered. I mentioned, what about Leathers Park? Would it make sense to burn that before they seed it? I don't know if that's something that you'd have any interest in. Kevin said, mention it to Marty. So I'm not saying that we have the resources necessary to do it, but I think it'd be good to reach out to Norby, is it?
Yeah, Norby.
If you're interested in that, and see if that's something that would be beneficial or make sense to do at this time.
I could reach out to them and see how that would impact their reseeding program. I don't know what that would do, but I can certainly talk to them.
The research I've done online seems, things generally indicate that it would be good, but again, they're the experts. I wouldn't want them to show up and be like, wait, no, we don't want to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones doing it, so.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, Cloquet has got the prairie there.
Yeah.
And that would need a burn. I'm not sure if that's got if that would be, an option there, so if it's in that burn window.
And that's what it came up, is someone was like, hey, are we going to burn that again? That was, a good experience, good practice, and also good for the environment, so kind of a win-win. And like I said, we've had a lot
both parks. I would prefer to, I think, just gut feeling, I would prefer to do Cloquet because that's established.
Yeah.
And I think it would benefit from a burn.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's something that the department would probably have interest in, because it's good practice for us, get our equipment out, get use on our equipment, and then also good for the community environment.
So you guys do the prescribed burns?
I haven't been on the department since they've done one, but in the past, yes, Dayton Fire Department has done one. And then Three Rivers contracts with another company, Red Rocks Fire out of Otsego, which is actually a part of Minnesota Native Landscapes. So when you see Three Rivers Park District burning and they're really cool Jeeps out there, that's those guys.
Would that be would you like to have the opportunity to burn with Three Rivers Park District?
Me personally, absolutely. Yeah, I know that there was, I'm not sure how I know Three Rivers works directly with them.
I've got a meeting with them on Friday. I could ask the question if you
Yeah,
want me to.
if you want to throw it out there, I know that's something some of the other guys in the department have talked about. Like, we'd love to get in and train with the guys from Red Rocks, or even just work in tandem with them. We have 2 grass apparatus right now, and then in the next couple weeks, I think, another one coming back outfitted.
I'll ask the Three Rivers
Couple months,
guys
maybe.
as well on
Yeah.
Friday and see what they say about that. But I would definitely talk with Norby as well.
Yeah, it's been a busy spring already, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anybody else have anything?
I'm going to be gone for work on the 6th. Do we want to just say, no, Brad, that's fine by me? Otherwise, do you guys want to look at a different date? Is everybody
How many
All's
times
good.
have you been absent
in the year 2025? 0.
in your year from, what is it, July to July? That's kind of our
Is that what it
fiscal
is?
year?
Yeah.
I think it's been 1 or 2.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we
Are we
don't
3?
meet that threshold.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I mean, you guys fine with me not being there?
As long as you don't go over the 3 threshold.
Okay. It's July to
Oh, we
June.
don't want to lose
is
you.
Right.
Is July to June
I do
the?
believe so, our fiscal calendar, yeah.
Okay, I'll look and see what I missed, because I think I want to say it's 1 or 2 so far.
What do we have on for the 6th, Marty?
I don't know just yet. I'd have to look at my board and I don't have it in my mind.
Well, if Brad, you find that would be a problem, maybe you can reach out to Marty.
Okay.
And if we have something more than nothing for the agenda, then you can reach out to us to figure out a time. Can we do that over email? Or does
I
that
can
have
do
to
it
be,
Yeah.
does time have to be ratified in these minutes, or in this meeting?
That doesn't have to be ratified at this.
So
Where do
could
we
say
wanna-
proposed next meeting would be May,
Right.
Yeah.
if we have
And then-
pertinent material, which Marty will be working on.
And I will let you know as soon as I know what we got coming. I think John Sibold might have a couple of items that he wants to bring, but
But are they breakneck, have to get done, or could they wait till June? Because we got the parks rolling, we got our trails rolling, we've seen our budget.
yeah. You saying you want a break?
Well, So
We did just meet last week. We'll see you on the 14th.
Okay,
well,
so
that being said, like, because then the first week of June I gotta travel again for work, so we could do like a middle of May and just move it back and call it the May June if there's.
I don't mind if we move it off for May 6th, because that's my birthday, so I'll be doing.
May 5th is my daughter's birthday.
Like, what if we did? Again,
Could we meet before our open house
I'm
or
gonna,
after?
Like that day.
Oh, can we just have our meeting be at the open house? Could that
well, no,
would
if
that
he
be not
has
official
to
enough?
bring other things.
You might have. Other
But some of the other people might be at the open house.
John will be there.
So I won't be at the open house, but I don't,
Have you missed? You
I
missed
think
one.
I've missed one.
Yeah, you missed one.
I've missed one. So
I missed two, but I blame
It's all very complex.
Yeah.
For a meeting, right.
Yeah.
Why don't you look and see?
Let us know if
We'll say a tentative meeting
Yeah.
would be the 6th.
If there's no
I
nothing
wouldn't
for
be
the
able to
agenda,
do
then
the
we may as well cancel.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
What's that, Kai?
That's
I
two
wouldn't
for
be.
no
I have a
14th.
mandatory work thing on the 14th.
Yep, that's
in the
understandable.
evening.
If there's nothing.
And mine's all been work. I mean, I don't know what the.
Let's
I mean,
make it
if we
simple.
can do
If there's no agenda for the 6th,
We'll cancel.
we won't have the meeting. It's not like we've cancelled a lot of meetings recently. I think that we've had a pretty good run here. So let
And-
me look at whatever.
And we've had extra meetings with extra attendance for the joint session and all that, so we're doing good things.
We only get a brownie point for that. It's not anything
I
more
thought you were
than
going to say
that.
actual
Can
brownie.
I have an
I'm
actual
excited.
brownie?
Yeah.
well, I was going to say there's always May 27th if you're missing the 1st of June.
That's
We
a
could always
council.
try to do May
There's
27th.
Before
Council
a
on
holiday.
May 27th is a council meeting. I
Oh,
believe.
I didn't think about that. You're
Marty
right.
will let us know if we have things.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds
May
good.
27th could work.
we
If
got
not,
any-
we'll see you the 14th. And Kai won't be there. Carrie won't be there. Okay.
So
Yep.
you want to do, for the open house,
I
yeah?
want to be
Okay,
there.
yeah.
And then
Oh,
we'll-
for the open house, yes.
I'll be at the
And then we'll
open
figure
house.
out the June meeting date. That'll be the
wish.
first Tuesday in June anyways.
Perfect.
Yep, sounds
We'll
good.
show up again when you email us.
All right.
Do you guys want a table at the open house, or are you just in attendance?
We had the table last year.
Yep.
It was nice.
Okay.
We had a bunch of tree
Table.
pamphlets.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. I don't know
Yeah,
if you have
that'd be
any of
great.
those left.
Just making sure.
I don't know if I ever picked them back up from Danielle if they were extras.
Or who could we contact?
I could probably get more. I'll email Sonia. She'll be thrilled.
Bring that
Oh yeah, since they left them anyway.
and any other renderings we have for the work that we're going to do at PSA 21.
Yeah, if there's any packets or anything you want me to print off, I can send them my way too. For the open house.
Sure.
You want me to take those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
since we
and
got
then
them, I
can
think.
We're
take
going to need
those-
those for the council meeting anyway.
Oh,
So-
sure.
Yeah, and then if we could have them at
Yeah,
the, I mean,
for
I'm
sure.
not
That'd be
gonna
very
be there,
cool.
but.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
then-
to have.
That'd be fun to
It
have.
would look good to be able to show people what's gonna happen.
I think
That's
there's
why I wanted to get them done, because it's, all very well showing topography, but not everybody understands where that is. I took your comment to heart there, Scott.
We don't have a plotter printer to do our own.
No, I don't. I don't.
printing is the easy part. You got to actually render it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mine would be stick
I
people.
learned the hard
Okay.
way.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Carrie, second by Kai. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Does anybody want
Shutting down.
any information about that open house for the?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Is that the
This
Meeting
is the one-
adjourned.
14th? Whatever.